Hello, it's Jay here again and welcome to another tutorial. So, we're picking up exactly where we left off in the last video and we completed these 4 blocks. Now, February was different. It required 2 blocks because of the leap year effect. But January and March were straightforward, just required 1 if block. And I said to go ahead and create the if block in the same way for all the other months. And now, as you can see, I've gone ahead and done that. However, we do have more code for certain if blocks. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So let's begin by coming to the December if block. As you can see, we just roll back round to January. Now we need to be inside the if block itself. So I'm going to come here and we need to call the year count function because we need to update what year it is. So we need to call this function here and we'll put it into the comments. So we'll say call year counter function. And we also need to call the seasons manager function. So let's have a look at where we actually need to put that. So we'll set winter here when we actually switch to December. So we're actually in the November if block. And we'll just call that seasons manager, open and close. We'll close the line off. Into the comments, call season manager function, and let's just copy that there. So let's have a look. Where do we switch to autumn? And we do it when we switch to September here, so we'll paste that in. And we'll keep going backwards. So when we switch to June, and actually that's the wrong one. Forgive me, it's this one, May, when we actually switch to June. So it needs to go into the May one. And March. So this one will have to go in both the February if blocks. So there and there. And we'll just save that off there. So what we've done is we switch over to a certain month. In this case March. We're calling the season manager function. So why we're calling that function? Because March, the 1st of March is when we're going to switch to springtime, and obviously that continues on through all the other blocks. So with that said, let's come to seasons manager. So we set them all to false when this function is called. Now we need to tell it which one to switch to true. So we'll create an if block, if open brackets, and we'll say March equals true, and we'll say double and calendar days double equals 1, and we'll close brackets there. So let me just explain this. I'm sure you all know how this if statement works by now. However, you're probably looking and saying, well, why put the calendar days in? Because we're only calling the function once when we actually switch to the applicable month. And I'm going to include it all in this if statement. And the reason for that is I do realise some of you may wish to move this into the void update and just call seasons manager from there. So we'll put it all in. And then you can alter and adapt your scripts as necessary. I'm just going to call it when it's applicable within the month. in which case this really shouldn't be needed, but as I said, I've put it in to cover all bases, hopefully, so all of you can adapt your scripts as you see fit. So with that said, let's put the comment in. If we are in March and calendar days equal 1, we'll come to the next line and we'll set spring to be equal to true, and we'll close the line off. Into the comments then, set spring to true. And I'm sure you've guessed we're just going to copy this if block and we're going to paste it in 3 more times, and we'll just swap out the variables. So in this case it's June, and we'll change it here, and this time we want to change to summer. We'll update the comment as well, and here September. If we are in September, and then we'll set autumn to be true. And of course you could just set the month to true within the month, but I've decided to do it this way. That way we can just have all this code where we set them all to false to begin with in one function. But let's continue on, and finally for December, if we are, sorry, not September, December. If we are in December and calendar days equal 1, then we need to change that to winter. So now, when applicable, we call the seasons manager function. The first thing it does is set all of them to false, and then depending on the variables it sets the applicable one to be equal to true. And we'll just save this off there. Now we're finally getting there with basic functionality in terms of how all the calendar and everything else is going to work. We still have a lot more to do with this script, quite a lot more. Before we get into testing, I do want to actually update the GUI, and I also want to optimize some of these blocks of code, and we'll do all that in the videos, please don't worry. And then we'll do that, and we can then start testing out what we've done up to now. And again, please don't worry, because even once we've done that, we'll be coming back to the script and still adding more features. So hopefully you'll all stay tuned for that. But I think we'll leave it here for this video. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you next time. And until then, bye for now.